Hey guys! Today I'm going to show you how to make this chocolate cake with Nutella cream cheese frosting. All of the ingredients will be written down below in the description bar. To begin, line with parchment paper and grease 2 cake tins that are 20 cm in diameter. For the sponge cake, sift together flour and cocoa powder. Then add salt, baking powder and sugar. Whisk everything together until well combined. Once all of the dry ingredients are combined, make a well in the center and pour in the coffee and the oil. Make sure that the coffee is not hot. It can be a little bit warm, but best if it's at room temperature. Then, using a mixer, mix the batter until it's smooth, there are no lumps, and you can't see the flour. Make sure not to over-mix the batter. And because I'm making this chocolate cake extra chocolatey, I added even chocolate chips. Divide the batter between the 2 prepared cake tins. I like to shake the cake tins a little bit to make sure that there are no big air bubbles. Bake the cakes in a preheated oven at 350 Fahrenheit or 170 Celsius for 40 to 45 minutes. Meanwhile, make the simple sugar syrup. In a saucepan, mix together the water, sugar, and boil everything for around 1 minute until the sugar has dissolved. Let it cool completely. The cakes are done when a toothpick inserted in them comes out clean with a few crumbs. Let the cakes cool for 10 minutes inside the cake tins and then remove them and let cool completely. And now onto the Nutella frosting. Cream the 250 grams of butter for around 3 minutes until it's a bit paler and fluffier. Add the cream cheese and mix until just combined. Also, forgot to mention, it's very important that all of the ingredients for the frosting are at room temperature. Add the Nutella and again mix until just combined. It's important not to over whip the frosting or it will become runny. Definitely taste the frosting and decide whether you want it more chocolatey, so add more Nutella. Also, if you want it sweeter, you can add simple powdered sugar. Before frosting the cake, I like to put the frosting inside the fridge so it becomes a bit more firmer and easier to work with. For decorating the cake, I chopped some hazelnuts from which I had removed the skins. Once the cakes have completely cooled, this is very important, you can level off the top. Use it for cake pops or simply just eat it. It's best to use a long serrated knife. If you're like me and you like the cake layers to be just as thick as the frosting layers, then cut the cakes in half horizontally. In the end, you will have 4 cake layers. To fill the cake, put a small dollop of frosting on a cake board and put the first layer. Brush the top of the layer with some of the simple sugar syrup, but make sure not to go overboard, because if you soak the layers with too much of the syrup, they will become very heavy. Next, put on an even layer of the Nutella frosting. Using an offset spatula, spread the frosting a little bit to the sides and add some extra Nutella. Continue with the next layers until the cake is filled. Once you reach the last layer of the cake, soak it with the simple sugar syrup and put it on the cake upside down, so the flat and dry part is on the top. If any of the frosting is bulging out from the sides, spread it out a little bit and put the cake in the freezer for 20 minutes or the fridge for 40 minutes to let it set a little bit, and it's easier to crumb coat it. While the cake is chilling in the freezer, prepare the frosting for the outside. Add the remaining butter to the leftover frosting and mix it together until well combined. Also, add a little bit more Nutella so the frosting doesn't lose its sweetness. Adding more butter to the frosting will make it much more stable. It will set a lot better in the fridge and it will be a bit more smoother and easier to work with. Once the cake has slightly set, put on a thin layer of frosting, which is called crumb coat. It catches all of the crumbs on the outside of the cake. So put a small layer, don't bother making it too smooth, and put the cake back in the freezer or fridge until the layer of frosting sets. Once the crumb coat has set, move on to the big thick layer of frosting. I think everyone has their own technique on how to do it. I like to put a huge dollop of frosting on top of the cake, spread it out to the sides, and then smooth out the sides. I'm using a turntable and an offset spatula because it's the easiest way for me to smooth out a cake. Now comes the fun part, decorating the cake. I start off by putting some of the previously chopped hazelnuts onto the sides of the cake. Then I pour some melted chocolate on top of the cake, spread it to the sides and let it drip so it makes a beautiful chocolate drip effect. Because the cake is cold, the chocolate will set quickly, so work fast. I put the leftover frosting inside the piping bag with the star tip nozzle, and I made some roses on top of the cake, right next to each other. I sprinkled on top some edible golden and silver pearls, and topped each rose with either a Ferrero Rocher or a mini Reese's peanut butter cup. And here is the finished cake. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments whether or not you have some questions and any ideas for future videos. See you next time. Bye!